You ever feel pride turn into humiliation in one breath? I spent 20 years raising my boy alone. Late nights, 2 jobs, cold dinners, birthday cakes I baked myself because his mother walked out and never looked back. When he invited me to his wedding, I thought it was the moment everything paid off. The suit was pressed. The gift was wrapped. My heart was full. Then I reached the reception table and saw my nameplate. Not father of the groom, not even my name. It said, "Low education." Like I was an embarrassment they needed to label. They laughed. He stayed silent. And that silence hurt more than any insult. But before I tell you what happened that day, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and share your thoughts in the comments. After I found out, the world went quiet. Not the kind of quiet that brings peace, but the kind that presses against your chest until breathing feels like work. I stood at the reception hall entrance, watching guests laugh, drink, and congratulate my son. My son, the boy I raised alone, the boy whose mother vanished before he learned how to walk. Every birthday, every scraped knee, every school play, every late-night fever, I was there. No degrees, no fancy job titles, just a father who refused to leave. But to his new family, I wasn't a father. I was a joke. I walked to my assigned table. White tablecloth, fresh flowers, polished silverware, and in front of my seat, a small nameplate. I expected my name, or father, or parent of the groom. Something with dignity, something earned. Instead, I read 2 words. Low education. Elaborate, a wound disguised as a joke. Some guests snickered when they saw my face. One man leaned toward his wife and whispered, loud enough for me to hear, "At least they got his qualifications right." My throat tightened. My palms burned. I waited for my son to walk over and say it was a mistake. A prank. Something. Anything. He didn't. He saw it. He looked directly at the card. Then he turned away, like I was part of the furniture. His bride's family wore expensive clothes and expensive smiles, the kind of people who believed kindness required status, and respect required money. I wasn't one of them. I never wanted to be. I lowered myself into the chair. I stared at the nameplate. 20 years of sacrifice, reduced to a punchline. They didn't know the truth. They didn't know that I dropped out of school to work 2 jobs so my son never went hungry. They didn't know that every night I studied textbooks on my own so I could help him with homework. They didn't know that I woke up before dawn and came home after midnight because I wanted him to have a life better than mine. They didn't know. They didn't ask. They only judged my son walked past our table with his bride. She glanced at me and laughed under her breath, nudging him like I was a circus trick. He didn't correct her. He didn't defend me. He didn't even look ashamed. I stood up and intercepted them. "What is this?" I asked, holding the nameplate. He froze. His bride rolled her eyes. "It's a seating card," she said. "It's accurate." My voice stayed calm. My name would have been accurate, too. My son sighed. "Dad, don't start. This is my wedding, not a place for drama." I stared at him. "I'm the drama?" He looked around nervously, afraid other guests might hear. "We can talk later." "No," I said. "We talk now." His bride stepped closer. "Look, your background is simple. We didn't want people asking questions. It's not personal." Not personal. No words in my life hurt more than those 2. "I raised him alone," I said. "I didn't leave. I didn't quit. I didn't run. If you're ashamed of me, say it." My son clenched his jaw. "Dad, don't ruin this day." "I'm not ruining anything," I said. "I'm asking you to respect me." He lowered his voice. "Lower your tone. People are watching." I felt something break inside. Not loud, not violent, quiet, like a rope finally snapping after years of wait. "If you don't want the world to know who raised you," I said, "they won't have to." His bride smirked. "Are you leaving?" I nodded once. "Yes." Before I turned away, I placed the nameplate back on the table. Not gentle, not angry, just final. I walked toward the exit. Guests stared. Whispers followed. The man who worked 2 jobs. The man who never complained. The man who kept food on the table. The man who spent his life giving his son everything he never had. Walked out without a thank you. At the door, I stopped and looked back one last time. He didn't chase me. He didn't call my name. He didn't even look my way. I stepped outside. The sky was clear. Music thumped behind me, while the world continued without a father. But what he didn't know was this: humiliation isn't the end. It is the moment a man stops begging to be respected. After I walked into the parking lot, the laughter and music faded. The night air felt colder than it should. For a moment I just stood there, staring at the ground. I came to celebrate my son's happiness. I left feeling like a stranger who never mattered. I got into my truck and closed the door. My hands rested on the steering wheel. I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I sat in silence, letting the truth settle. Inside that building, 100 people raised glasses to my son. The same son who once held my hand crossing the street. The same boy who used to sit on my shoulders at the fair. The same kid who ran to me when he scored his first goal, yelling, "Dad, did you see?" Somewhere along the way, pride turned into shame for him. And I wasn't prepared for that. I started the engine. Before I drove off, a knock hit my window. I turned and saw my sister, Emma. She lived 2 towns away and came for the ceremony. Her eyes were full of fury. "I saw what they did," she said, as I rolled the window down. "You're not leaving alone." "I'm fine," I said. "You're not," she snapped. "Get out." I stepped out of the truck. She hugged me tight, and her voice shook. "You deserve better." I swallowed hard. "It's his day. I didn't want to ruin it." "He ruined it the second he let them treat you like trash," she said. "And you walked out with dignity." We sat on the curb together. Cars passed. People smoked near the entrance, laughing, unaware of the storm we sat inside. After a minute, Emma asked, "Do you know why they put that on the card?" "No," I said, but a guess formed in my mind. She took a breath. "I heard his bride's mother talking. She said you were embarrassing. She said she didn't want anyone asking your profession. She said putting your name would invite questions." I felt something twist in my chest. "So they erased me." "Yes," she said, "because they think money matters more than the man who raised their son." We stayed quiet. The wedding lights glowed across the pavement. My son walked out the doors with his friends. They were laughing, taking pictures, cheering. He didn't even look in my direction. He saw my truck, saw me sitting there, and kept walking. Emma's jaw tightened. "You gave him everything, and he can't even give you respect." I exhaled slowly. "He made his choice." She placed her hand on my arm. "Come home with me tonight. Eat. Rest. You don't need to sit here feeling unwanted." I nodded. "Let me say one last thing before I go." I stood up and walked back toward the building. Not inside. Not angry. Calm. Steady. I waited near the entrance until his bride's parents walked out. Her father noticed me. His smile dropped. "You came back," he said. I met his eyes. I didn't finish what I needed to say. He looked uncomfortable. "Look, your son is starting a new life. We wanted the wedding to reflect a certain standard." "A standard where a father doesn't get a name?" I asked. His wife scoffed. "We weren't trying to insult you. You're being sensitive." I stepped closer, voice low but sharp. "I worked every day of my life so my son didn't grow up hungry. You gave him nothing. I gave him everything. If you think education makes a man, you learned nothing in your fancy schools." They froze, mouths tight. "I don't need your respect," I said. "But he will miss mine." I didn't wait for a reply. I walked away, got back in the truck, and followed Emma home. Her house felt warm. She cooked me dinner. We ate in silence. Halfway through the meal, my phone buzzed. A message from my son. "Where did you go? People are asking." I stared at the screen. Emma said, "Don't answer yet." I waited an hour. Another message came. "Dad, come back. It's awkward without you." Awkward. Not sorry. Not ashamed. Not grateful, I wrote back. I didn't leave your wedding. I left the version of you that forgot who raised you. He didn't respond. The next morning, I woke up early and drove home. My house felt empty, but peaceful. I took down the framed grad photo of him on the wall, wiped the dust, and set it face down in a drawer. Not out of anger. Out of acceptance, some love stays. Some love leaves. Some love forgets where it came from. By sunset, there was a knock at my door. I opened it and found my son standing there, jacket still on, face tense. "We need to talk," he said. I stepped back, and he walked in. He looked around like he hadn't seen the place in years. Maybe he hadn't paid attention. Maybe he never saw the sacrifices living in every corner. Finally, he spoke. "You embarrassed me last night," I blinked. "I embarrassed you?" "Yes," he said. "Walking out made people ask questions." I stared at him. "Your problem isn't that I walked away. Your problem is that you didn't care why." He crossed his arms. "It was a joke. The nameplate." Everyone laughed. "You should have laughed too." I nodded slowly. "I spent 2 decades giving you everything, and you sat in a room full of strangers and let them laugh at the man who raised you." His breath caught. His eyes fell. For the first time all day, he looked unsure. "Dad?" he whispered. "I didn't think it mattered." "It mattered," I said. "Respect always matters." He sank into a chair, rubbing his face. "I messed up." I didn't soften. "Not yet. You chose silence," I said. "Silence hurts deeper than words," he nodded. "I know," I leaned forward. "So why are you here?" His voice came out small. "I don't want to lose you." I didn't answer. "Because forgiveness is earned, not requested." After he said those words, the room went still. He sat there with his hands locked together, elbows on his knees, staring at the floor like a child waiting for punishment. Part of me wanted to yell. Part of me wanted to throw every memory in his face. But another part, the quiet one, felt tired. Tired of fighting for respect that should have been automatic. He lifted his head. "Dad, I don't know why I let them do it. I thought it was harmless. I thought you wouldn't care." "You didn't think," I said. "You were embarrassed of me." His eyes watered. "I was proud of you. I always have been." "Then why hide my name?" I asked. He flinched. "Her family. They judge everyone. They think success is money. They said your name would bring questions. So instead of protecting me," I said, "you protected their opinion." He wiped his face with his sleeve. "I messed up." I walked to the table, picked up the graduation photo I'd taken down, and set it upright. "You forgot something important. You didn't get where you are alone." He looked at the photo. "You're right. I didn't raise you for thanks," I said. "I raised you to be a man. A man stands with the people who stood with him." For a long moment, he didn't speak. Then he stood. "I'm going back to the venue," he said. "I'm getting the seating chart. I'm going to apologize in front of everyone who saw me stay silent." I stared at him, unsure if his words were driven by guilt or change. "Why now?" He swallowed. "Because I'm ashamed, and I should be." I didn't respond. I wanted to see actions, not promises. He left quietly. A few hours passed. Then my phone buzzed. A picture. A long table. My chair. The nameplate was gone. In its place, a new card. Handwritten in big letters. "Father of the groom." Below it, a message. "I told them who you are. I told them what you did. I told them I wouldn't be alive without you. I won't let anyone laugh at you again. I'm sorry." A second photo came through. My son standing at the microphone, a crowd behind him. He was holding a piece of paper, eyes red. Then another message. "Come back if you want. If you don't, I'll come to you every day until you forgive me." I stared at the screen for a long time, not because it fixed everything, but because he finally felt the weight of his choices. When night fell, I drove back to the reception hall. The music was quieter now. Couples danced. A few relatives recognized me and whispered. I ignored them. My son noticed me first. He walked fast, stopping a foot away, afraid to get too close without permission. "Dad," he said softly. I didn't speak. He took a deep breath. I told them the truth. About everything. About how you worked days and nights. About how you never left. About how I'm standing here because you sacrificed your life for me. His voice cracked. I'm not proud of what I did, but I want to spend the rest of my life fixing it. His bride stood a few steps behind him, nervous and unsure. She spoke quietly. I'm sorry for how we treated you. I was wrong. Her parents didn't come forward. Cowards usually don't. My son took another breath. I don't care about their opinions anymore. You're my father, the only parent I ever had, and I'm going to respect you the way you deserve. He opened his arms slightly. Not a command, not pressure, just a chance. For a moment, I stood still. The hall felt warm again. The lights didn't hurt anymore. I saw the boy I raised, the one who used to grab my hand, the one who used to fall asleep on my chest after long days. The man standing in front of me wasn't perfect, but he was trying. I stepped forward and hugged him. He broke, shoulders shaking, face buried against me. He whispered, I'm sorry, Dad. I won't forget again. I nodded. Don't apologize with words. Apologize with how you live. He pulled back and wiped his eyes, laughing softly through tears. Deal. We walked back inside together. No one laughed anymore. People watched us, but this time there was respect in their eyes. At the table I sat down and looked at the new nameplate. Not printed, not fancy, written by hand, letters a little crooked, but it was mine. Later that night, after the wedding ended and the guests went home, my son walked me to my truck. Thank you for giving me another chance, he said. You earned it, I answered. Don't waste it. He smiled, nervous but hopeful. I won't. I drove away with a lighter heart. The road didn't feel lonely anymore. The night didn't feel cold. Tomorrow wouldn't be perfect, but tomorrow would be honest. And sometimes, honesty is enough.